And we are live. Hello, everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my Hot Topics series. This is the class where we pick a hot topic out there in the media and we give our personal take on it from our own perspectives and our own culture. So it's a discussion class, but it's also good to get informed about what's going on out there and what you think about it as well. That's a little bit about the class in general. Here's something about me. Let's get my name on the screen. Let me just mute you for a second, son, because we're getting some noise in the background. I'm John Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, coming at you today from Lisbon, Portugal, to bring you this class. By the way, if you click on that link in the Verbling chat window, you will go to my home page, my profile page, where you can follow me on the bottom left to see my upcoming group classes. You can also message me or book for a private class. If you do that, I will work with you on a personalized learning plan to help get you to your goals as soon as possible. Okay, so send me a message if you're interested, and we will give it a try. Let me put the material for you on the screen, which you'll see in just a second. Then I'll greet all of you, and we will then get started. Okay, by the way, if you want a link, just click that link in the Verbling chat window. Okay, so first let's say hello to everyone. Mr. Sun, your microphone definitely worked because I could hear you a second ago. So you might want to turn it on and let's just double check. Okay? Are you there, son? Turn it back on. Let's see if it works because it worked a second ago. Okay, I don't hear son. Let's say hello to Mr. Mikko, back from Iceland.
Yeah. Hello, John. How are you?
Very good. So, how did it go?
Good, good. Very, very interesting experience. No big surprise, more or less. We found there more or less the same that we expected.
There's nothing there.
No, a lot of things. Very, very. Maybe the most important, the most interesting thing is the nature and hard weather, but sometimes very difficult. But yeah, it's more or less that the same that we expected to find.
What I remember is trees that were 1 centimeter tall.
Small trees.
Very small trees that you could step on. Yeah. I remember that if you got off the road, if you're outside of Reykjavik, the town, yeah, if you were driving on the road and you got out, there were these looked like fields, and they were actually covered with lichen. So if you actually tried to walk in these what looked like fields, they weren't fields. They were like volcanic rocks, but they were covered. Yeah. And you could fall through. So you really can't walk. And it's not. There's no sign saying anything like that. Also, most tourists don't have a car, but someone was driving me around. Also, if you went to did you go to the Blue Lagoon to have a dip in the thermal baths? Mm-hmm. It's the only place I've ever seen where you could rent a bathing suit. That was strange. You could rent a bathing suit when you got there.
Sorry, the only place to rent, huh?
You could rent a bathing suit in the Blue Lagoon. Because most people, I don't know about now, but when last time I was there, let's see, that was a long time ago. 15 years ago. Most people weren't expecting, they didn't know about it. So you've got this big blue thermal bath in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. You just drive up and it's there. And so most people didn't know about it. So they created a business where you could rent a bathing suit so you could go in. and again, it's really interesting to do it, but it's also really dangerous because if you slip down under the water, you basically keep going to the center of the Earth because it's a volcanic spring. So if you've got to really be careful. It's a really interesting place, though. Yeah.
We didn't go there to the Blue Lagoon, but there is another one more or less the same, but smaller, cheaper in the north, near the Lake, sorry, and it's more or less the same, and few tourists there than
In the yeah.
in the Blue Lagoon. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
prefer to go there, and it was but there is a lot of hot pools in
Hot springs, maybe
hot
we'll
springs.
say.
Yeah,
Hot
yeah,
springs.
yeah.
Yeah, and I told you this before you left. One memory I have is, did you ever see? I don't know if you ever saw this film. I think it was the first film with David Bowie in the 1970s, directed by Nicholas Roeg, called The Man Who Fell to Earth. And they must have shot part of it in Iceland, because in the film, I remember there are these big, like, metal tubes going off in the distance. And it's like a half science fiction film.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Iceland, I saw those tubes, these like giant metal tubes coming out of the ground and just going off as far as you could see. I remember that. So they're this the way to bring the thermal energy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they shot the movie there, but I thought, wait, I recognize that. So another image I have. So those are called. There's vocabulary for you today. Hot springs.
Hot springs, yeah.
And we neglected Mr. Awesome. Hello, Mr. Awesome.
Yes. I'll try to use the expression that you taught me yesterday. Couldn't be better.
Couldn't be better. Very good. Couldn't be better. Be very careful, because if you say could be better, that means you're not doing well. If you say couldn't be better, you're already at the awesome level.
Couldn't be better.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've given everyone a chance to come in, and I don't know where everyone else is, but we're going to get started. So, and son, you should turn on your microphone and give it a try, because I heard you in the beginning of class. So you might want to turn it on and just make sure it works, because I think, well, anyway, it's up to you. So look, take a look at this, everyone. Hopefully you can see that. People age differently, study confirms. You know, you probably thought this already, but it's different when we have something that can, I guess, kind of prove it. I have a question for you just to think about before we actually read this, which is here. So I think most people would agree that you can prematurely age, and most people would agree that certain people don't seem to age at all. Well, what factors do you think cause some people to age more quickly than others?
Yeah. I think that there are, for me, two main factors.
Yeah?
Genetic and lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. So we'll say, if you're going to say genetic, we'll say genetic versus environment. In fact, we have this expression, nature versus nurture. Have you heard that before? Nature versus nurture.
No, it's the first time for me.
This is a very common expression in the sciences that means, is something, like you said, genetic, or is it environmental in cause?
I mean, for me, the genetic is the characteristics that you have when you born, because we have in our body, we have some individual characteristics that you can choose. Then you born with these characteristics, so it's something that is.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Sorry, it's my Hangout just suddenly reloaded. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So I disappeared for a second, but I'm back.
Yeah.
So I didn't catch the last thing you said, Miko. I'm sorry.
No, I explained that I mean, when I said genetic, I was thinking in these characteristics that we have when we born, something that
When we are born.
we are born. Yeah, that you can't choose these characteristics. You born with them.
Mhm. That's absolutely right. So I just want to say that that argument is nature versus nurture. So that's like the shortcut that people will say. Also, let's look at a few vocabulary words that are really important. So you said characteristics, right?
Yeah.
Let's also say traits.
Traits.
Let's say features. So here are three more or less synonyms for that.
Traits and features. Okay.
And you said genetic. Genetic. Let's say hereditary as well. Genetic, hereditary, and let's give one more synonym, just so that you have a variety of words to say these things. So genetic, hereditary,
I
or
think, John,
born with.
Depend on your career that you are developing during the life, because if you work as a farmer, you get older before than you work in office, I think.
Mm-hmm. I got a funny story about that, actually, now that you mention it. Let me just say a quick hello to Vitor and Giancarlo as well, who just joined us. Hello, Vitor.
Hello, good morning, teacher.
Okay, Vitor, I don't recognize that picture. Is this your first time with us?
Yes, for sure. It's my first time here in Verblink.
Where are you from, Vitor?
I'm from Brazil.
From Brazil. Okay, excellent. Whereabouts? Are you from Rio or São Paulo or Bahia or Salvador?
Yes, Rio de Janeiro.
From Rio. Okay, nice to have you, Vitor. So listen, sorry, nice to have you as well, Giancarlo. I didn't mean to cut you off earlier. So listen, we're just discussing this before we read this interesting article. It is interesting. I wish it was a little more in depth, but I think between all of us, we can talk about it, and as we're doing now, and try to figure out some of the things that the article doesn't really go into detail about. Also, since you're new, Vitor, as we do this class and we just read and discuss, I'm going to give you suggestions and corrections in the chat window. It would be a great idea at the end of the class if you write those down in your notes so that you can review them and learn from them later. So basically, you speak, I correct, and you learn that way. And then you try to use what you've learned in a discussion, especially at the end of class. So, Jose, you were saying that maybe a farmer will age more quickly than someone working in an office.
I think so.
So why is that? You mean because they're doing more labor? It's more
because they spend a lot of time under the sun and the environmental factors. I think this kind of factor could be a big influence on her body, on her healthy.
On their bodies,
on their body,
health.
on their healthy, on their health. Yes.
Right.
But be careful, because you know that nowadays sedentarism is one of the main problems that we have, and maybe one farmer's appearance could be older than a person who works in an office, but
yes,
her health age is older.
So the word is sedentary. Sedentary. The problem is the sedentary lifestyle. Now experts recognize sedentary. I hope I spelled that right.
You have to do exercise regularly.
That's the thing. Listen to this. I don't know if you've looked into research about this, but there was a great documentary, one of those BBC documentaries. BBC makes the best TV documentaries around. They're really good because they're informative. They're not always accurate, but they're very fun and informative. There was a great one about exercise. I think it was called The Truth About Exercise or something like that. But it was really interesting because they looked at cutting-edge research. One of the things that came up in the documentary was that exercise the way we normally do it, doesn't help. Not much. You have to be very specific how you exercise. The best exercise, according to the cutting-edge research that they mentioned, was simply moving around all the time. So it makes sense why the sedentary lifestyle is now seen as maybe the most important factor in aging you or affecting your health. So think about those people, those areas of the world where people live into their hundreds regularly, like little parts of Japan, Sardinia, I think it was Tibet or somewhere somewhere in China. I don't remember the region. And one thing they had in common, well, one factor was that they're actually farmers. They're actually out there in the rice paddies until they're hundreds, constantly moving, not just walking or running, but moving in their whole bodies. That seems to make one very important factor. I'll just say that. I got another question there for you. Do you feel older or younger than your biological age? What about you, Giancarlo? Do you feel older or younger?
I haven't thought that, John.
If you don't feel anything, that means that you're dead. No, I'm just kidding. Do you feel like your age? Do you feel healthy?
Well, I feel healthy, but I haven't thought about being younger or older. I think in general, it depends on the genetic stuff, maybe, and the way of the living that you may have. For example, if you worry a lot, if you smoke, drink, or maybe if you have a sedentary life, as my partners mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, most of the time, I consider this is a genetic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because, for example, in my family, my grandmother lived until 97 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and my father lived just until 75 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And
How did he die?
Wow, it's a long story. I prefer not to mention that. But I can say that they have different lives,
Right.
and of course, it's part of the things that you give to your body, the substances, the way that you live, etc. Different factors I consider, but most of them, one is hereditary and the other one is genetic, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mentioned your father because my father passed away at 70. I mean, seriously, 20 years earlier than he should have. And it was just because of lifestyle, nothing else. Pure lifestyle.
Exactly.
He became diabetic first. And the thing is, you know, I grew up thinking that I was going to be fat and obese because he was, and then when I grew up and I wasn't, I realized that you really can decide how you want to live. You know, it was just choices. But I think it has to do also with his generation because I think there was just a lack of awareness or something like that. I mean, later on there was, but he was a little bit older than the health movement. So in the end, it's upsetting, but it was really a choice. He could have chosen to extend his life and be healthy at a certain point. You know, once you get sick, it's downhill from there. But and I've got an idea here. One more thing before we actually read the article. It's actually quite short. One more thing, and I want to get Victor's opinion in here too. I'm going to jump forward to a little quiz that you're supposed to do afterwards, but I want to ask you to think about what you think about these statements actually before you read rather than after you read. I want you to make some educated guesses, okay? So, Victor, I want you to read the first statement and tell me if you think it's true or false.
Yes, people generally grow old at the same rate. Yes.
So this is your
I
opinion.
think
So
it's true.
okay, so in other words, if we don't do anything to harm our bodies, we all should age equally, right? We all have equal chances, generally speaking.
Not just if you do something, but I think the way how to live your life
Mm-hmm.
and how to use your body, how to eat. You choose the food, how much you drink alcohol or smoking, and how to use technology, mobile phone if you are 24/7 in your mobile, and how to work. I think if you look for a balance for your life, for stress, for because it's in our days in the big city like Rio, New York, São Paulo, Tokyo, it's very difficult to become 100% calm.
Mm-hmm. To become.
So yeah, to be calm
Right.
because we have a lot of traffic, a lot of people everywhere, and a lot of people.
It's hard not to live a sedentary lifestyle in the city. It's difficult. Everything is geared towards sitting down in front of a computer. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so for number one, we're going to say that we basically agree that if everyone's got more or less an equal chance at aging the same way, more or less. Of course, some people are born with problems, but more or less the same rate. So I think most people would agree that that's true. Mikkel.
Excuse me, John.
Yeah.
John, sorry. What's the meaning of grow old at the same time? I mean, at the same rate. Grow old.
To age. To grow old, to age. This means aging. Aging.
At the same rate?
At the same rate. At the same pace. At the same.
For example, it's like if you are 30, I'm 30. We look like the same age, 30 or 20 or something.
Yeah. Unless I chronically drink and smoke. So it's saying, it's assuming that if we don't do anything to harm ourselves, then we should all age at the same, in the same way. That's the assumption. But if you're asking about the word rate, you mean to age at the same time. So if you're 30 and I'm 30, we should both look 30. If you're 30 and I'm 30 and I drink all the time, yeah, I might look 50. But if that didn't happen, generally we can assume that everyone grows at the same rate. So that's the assumption. It's important because I think that everyone assumes that. And I think the article is going to try to change your mind about that. Okay, Mikkel, read 2 and tell us your opinion about that.
A person's biological age is the same as their actual age. No, it's false because your chronological age and biological ages are different. And I can remember, for instance, in speaking about the sports, it's very usual to do some biological age researches in sports people.
Right.
Because, yeah, when we are young, to know if you maybe you are 18 years old, but your biological age is more or less. Could be different, no? When a team has to contract a sport player, they have to know which is the biological age.
Not which. They have to know what.
what is the biological. And one question that I have is, we are speaking all the time about physical age, no mental age, because it's different too. No?
Well,
There is another kind of aging, no?
well, no, but that's part of it, because they're saying that the brain will also age.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes up in the article, but they do mention it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the signs of aging is supposedly cognitive decline, meaning that you don't think as well as you used to.
Yeah.
However, we all know from the news that people who are mentally active and do things such as learn a second language, like you're all doing, this seems to greatly reduce the chance of getting brain-related diseases like Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It's not clear.
Yeah.
But it seems there's something to do with how actively you use your brain. And languages are very challenging. They actually increase the size of the cortex. You actually get a bigger brain if you speak more than one language, which research has shown. So it's interesting. As you come to verbling, it becomes smarter.
And I was thinking about another sentence before you said nature versus nurture, and I listened another sentence. It is that speaking about aging, your postal code is more important than your genetic code. Yeah, it means that depends on where do you live or where do you are born.
Of course.
Right.
If you live in West Virginia, then maybe you're going to live to 50. If you're living next to a coal mine somewhere, right? That's what you mean. Your postal code will determine how the environment is going to affect your body. Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, that's called not a sentence. That's called a phrase. So you might want to say, I heard.
A sentence.
But not a sentence, a phrase.
A phrase. Okay.
Because a phrase can also mean like an expression or something that someone says. Okay? And Jose, take a look at 3. Tell me your opinion.
Okay. 3. The aim of the research was to measure again in younger people. I think.
Actually, we don't know. We haven't read the article yet. Wait a second.
I think.
But let's go on to 4, because that one we need to read the article for. Sorry, go on to number 4. Skip 3, because we don't know the aim of the research yet. Go on to number 4.
Okay. You can find a person's biological age by using different biological markers. I'm not an expert about this kind of subject, but I think it is true. You have to use different biological markers in order to find a person's biological age.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
I think it's true. It makes sense.
Yeah. By the way, here's just a note about pronunciation.
Okay.
When you have a vowel, A-E-I-O-U, when you have a vowel that...
Biological, no?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
If the vowel ends a syllable, like the word by, like the syllable by, then the vowel will always be the same as the name. The name is I, so the pronunciation would be by.
Okay.
If the vowel does not end the syllable, then you don't say the name of the vowel. So the reason we don't say bio, the reason we don't say that is because O is in a different syllable. In other words, the by is isolated, therefore you say by.
Biological, okay.
That's right, biological. Forget about number 5 and forget about number 6. We have to read the article for those 2. Okay, let's...
Sorry, number 4, I think that the main, or some years ago, was the bones on the breast.
Oh yeah, to determine if you're aging, if you're aging in your teenage years, if you're growing at the right age.
Yes.
Yeah, they look at that.
Mm.
There's spaces that will be filled in as you grow, and if those spaces aren't being filled in or whatever, or too fast, it means that you're not growing as a child. You're not growing at the right rate. So they can see if there's a pituitary problem, your pituitary glands, which determine your, they basically allow you to grow. So yeah, it's a very good example. That's a biological marker. Here, I think they're going to look at things that are far more subtle, how your organs work, maybe MRI scans of your brain, things like that. Okay, but let's find out. And let's go back to our assumptions at the end of the article and see how many were true. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, Giancarlo, can you take 1 and 2 for us?
Yes. All before your time, people age at wildly different rates, study confirms. Ian Sample, Science Editor, 6 July 2015. A scientific study has confirmed that people grow old at radical different rates, with some aging much faster than others. The study, which involved nearly 1,038 years old, found that
not years old, just year-olds.
year-olds found that most people had biological ages close to their actual age, but others were far younger or older. Researchers used 18 different markers, including blood pressure, organ functions, and metabolism, to assess
Metabolism.
The biological age of each of the participants. For some, the past 12 years had had no obvious effect on their body's biology, but others were not so fortunate. Some participants had biological ages in the 50s, while one extreme case had a biological age of 61.
Yeah, that was me.
That meant that for every year over the past 12 years, their body had aged 3 years.
My body just aged 3 years while you were reading that.
Why, John? Why? Why?
Because I sit in front of a computer from 8 in the morning until 7 at night, usually. That's why.
Okay.
It had nothing to do with your reading. Your reading was fine. So just be careful on pronunciation. Metabolism.
Let me repeat. Metabolism.
That's it. Metabolism. What else was I going to say? That's it. Everything sounded good. So, any questions about those first 2 paragraphs, particularly about the markers? Is it clear what they're using for markers? It's not the bones in your wrist in this case.
It is not clear, John. Markers. Researchers use 18 different markers. Measures, something like that?
Well, the right word is, it means what you're saying, measures, but the right word is markers. So, if your blood pressure is high or low, it's not normal. So that would be an indicator or marker that there's something that you're aging faster than you should, as an example. Organ function. How efficient is your liver, for example, in filtering blood, right? Or filtering your system. So I think that's what they mean. So by marker, we mean indicator. By the way, what is metabolism? That's the word that's the same in Spanish, I guess. What is metabolism? What would be an example of a metabolism?
How to define this? The use of the energy in our body.
Okay, the use of the energy in your body. So if you have a high metabolism, what would be a consequence? High metabolism is usually a good thing, right? So what would be a consequence? When you're a kid, you've got a high metabolism.
When you
What?
burn so much calories for living.
Exactly. So, high metabolism, you burn more calories and much faster, much more efficiently. Eat all the jelly donuts you want when you're 13, no problem. Try that at 43. It won't work quite the same way. Okay, Mr. Vitor, can you take 3 and 4 for us?
Yes, for sure. Number 3. Most are biologically in their biologically in their mind 40s are younger, but there are a handful of people who are in pretty bad shape. In the future, we will try to learn about the different lives that fast and slow ages people have lived, said Daniel Belsky at Duke University in the United States.
Okay, good. Let me just correct you on 3 things.
Yes.
Once again, biologically.
Biologically.
Good. The second word was
Biologically.
good. The second word was not mid, but mid. Mid-40s.
Okay, mid-40s. Okay,
Good.
mid-40s.
And there was another one.
Mid-40s means around 40s?
Means 45.
Okay.
Mid means middle. Same as middle.
Okay.
Fast and slow aging people. Fast and slow aging.
Fast and slow aging people.
Right. The reason that you have the spelling like that, AGE, is because if you didn't have the E, it would be aging. But you put in that silent E and it becomes aging.
Okay, aging.
That's it. That's it. Okay, keep going for number 4, Vitor.
Okay. The researchers use data gathered. I don't know what's the mean.
Gathered, collected.
Okay. On gather.
Keep going.
Okay. On 871 people in the Dunedin study, a major investigation that has tracked the health and lives of around 1,000 New Zealanders born in 1972 or 1973 in the town of Dunedin.
I think it's Dunedin, probably. Dunedin.
I think that is Dunedin.
Dunedin.
Yeah.
Dunedin? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I think I went there some years ago.
Okay. Dunedin. Okay.
Dunedin? Yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Of the original group, 30 had died, but the age of 38 due to serious diseases such as
serious diseases
such as cancer or by accident, suicide, and drugs overdose.
Okay, so we can see that there's a statistical factor in aging that has to do with how many people are going to get into accidents and just naturally die of diseases that come up. The pronunciation, by the way, is aging. For Giancarlo, aging. Okay, so this is about that particular study now. This Dunedin study, 38-year-olds, I guess it was. Well, actually, if they're born in 73, then they're older than that. Let's go on to Mr. Miko for number 5 and 6.
Our goal was to see if we can measure aging in young people, said Belsky. It's becoming more and more clear that aging is really the cause of much of the disease and the disability we face. But our existing science is based on aging in older people who already have a lot of age-related diseases. According to Balsky, studying aging in younger people gives researchers the best chance of separating the biological changes that cause aging from those that characterize specific diseases.
This paragraph is really important, so you might want to let that sink in for a minute, especially that line. It's becoming more and more clear that aging is really the cause of much of the disease and disability we face. There's a lot going on in that sentence, so think about the implications of that for a second. Think about it. By the way, Mikko, let's just clarify the difference between the pronunciation of chance and change. Chance is an A sound, chance. And change is an A sound. It's the long A. So chance, change, or changes and chance. Those words are on the same line. The best chances of separating biological changes. Let's say chance changes. Chance changes.
The best chance of separating the biological changes.
Good. Biological.
Sorry. So chance and changes.
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 Good. That's it. Keep going. Paragraph 6.
The scientists produce a list of 18 biological markers that reflect a person's biological age. They include measures of kidney and liver function. What's kidney? Sorry?
Kidney is, in Portuguese, is rins.
Ufa.
In Spanish, I don't know. Rins, reis.
So it's a.
In Portuguese, it's what?
Rins, I think.
I don't know this word.
Renus? Rins, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Kidney.
Let me check here.
Yeah. Kidney.
Rins. Something like that? I don't know. I can't pronounce it. I can't pronounce it in Portuguese.
Yeah, I know. This is. Yeah.
What is it in Spanish?
Okay, I understand now. It's rin. In Portuguese, rin.
In Spanish,
it's a part of our body. Okay.
What is it in Spanish?
Riñón.
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 Riñón. Okay. I believe you.
And Basque is Gilchurriña. More difficult.
In which? Liver?
In Basque.
Oh, in Basque. Oh, well.
In my language.
We're not even going to go there. Just to be clear, so kidney is what you just said, and liver in Portuguese is fígado. In Spanish, what is it?
Hígado.
Hígado.
No.
Oh my God.
Hígado. Gibela in Basque.
Okay.
So kidney and liver function, cholesterol levels, and cardiovascular fitness. The set of markers were measured when the volunteers were aged 26, then 32, and finally at the age of 38. The researchers then looked to see how much the markers changed over time to produce a pace of aging number.
Right, and pace is just like the word rate we saw earlier. To grow old at the same rate, to grow old at the same pace. Okay, so in this study, they're looking at different ages and checking the markers. That's kind of important too. Paragraph 5, though, I think is a really important one. So everyone make a mental note of that and we'll come back to it. Jose, let's finish it up with 7 and 8, and maybe, Giancarlo, you're going to get a bonus one at the end. 7 and 8, Jose.
Okay. Across the group, the biological age of the 38-year-olds varied from 28 to 61. If a 38-year-old had a biological age of 40, it meant a pace of aging
Of 1.2. There's a little point there.
of 1.2 years per year over the 12-year study period. Even before they develop age-related disease, their physiology,
Their physiology.
their physiology shows things.
Signs.
Okay, shows signs, and there is a great variation in how fast people aged in the past 12 years, Belsky said. The scientists also wanted to see whether volunteers' biological age matched how old they looked. They invited students to look at photos of the study participants and guess their ages. The biologically older people were consistently rated as looking older than their 38 years. Already before midlife, individuals who were aging more rapidly were less physically able, showed cognitive decline and brain aging, self-reported worse health, and looked older. The scientists write, the next step in the research is to examine the lives of the lives of the Dundee participants to see how factors such as lifestyle, medical history, family circumstances, and stressful events might affect the speed at which people age.
Okay, there you go. So there we got to see a little bit about the pace of aging, and also how you look. It's interesting that people who seem to age faster were reported as looking older as well. At least that's what I understood from paragraph 8. I would have thought that they're not necessarily related, but maybe they are. Who knows? Okay, a bonus one for Mr. Giancarlo. 9 and 10. 10 is just a sentence.
Yes. Belsky said that the study showed that it was possible to use biological markers to measure the aging process in people who are too young to have age-related diseases. An objective measure of biological age, he said, could be used to assess whether new anti-aging therapies work or not. What we need are measurements that can show whether these therapies are working, so we don't have to wait 50 years to see if someone is still alive or not. We want to know straight away how a person is doing and whether the therapy is really changing their rate of aging, he said. The ultimate goal is to target aging instead of the multiple separate diseases that people are likely to develop as they age. As we get older, our risks grow for all kinds of different diseases. To prevent multiple diseases simultaneously, we have to target aging itself, Belsky said.
Okay, one note on pronunciation.
Yes.
Look at that second to last word in the second to last line. Say that for me again.
Measure?
Measure? No, second to last line in paragraph 10.
In paragraph 10, it's...
Second penultimate line and the penultimate word.
Simultaneously?
Ah, but is it simultaneously?
See, okay, hold on. Simultaneously.
Here's the problem.
Okay, tell me why.
What's the first syllable?
C.
No, it's not.
No?
Remember what I said earlier? If a vowel is alone, if it ends a syllable, we say the name. So what's the name of that vowel?
I.
I, correct.
If there is a vowel between two consonants, it's
No.
I.
Nothing about consonants. If the vowel ends a syllable, if it ends the syllable. That means there's nothing, that the syllable ends on that vowel sound. You say the name of the vowel. And the name of the vowel is I, and there's no other vowels in the syllable, so it's psi, simultaneously. Simultaneously. And that is a rule of pronunciation which is not obvious. Someone has to tell you about it. But that's the same reason why I said it's biological, not biological. It's bi because bi is a separate syllable, and the vowel ends the syllable. There's nothing else after the letter I. It ends it. Is this true all the time? Let's say, you know, better than 80%. It's true most of the time. So that's why it's simultaneously. Never si. It would be impossible to say. If the syllable was sim, sim, then that would be different. But it's not. It's si. That's the syllable. Therefore, you have to say the name of the vowel. So same for biological, simultaneous. Make sense?
Yes, John. Thank you so much. These are the things that are important. Okay, simultaneously, simultaneously. Thank you so much. Simultaneously.
So I don't know if that rule makes sense, but if you can keep that in mind, that's one of those pronunciation rules that it's not obvious. It's not obvious at all. And here's the problem: the language is not phonetic. The language is historical. So there's historical reasons why we have these rules. Basically, what I try to do is every week on Monday I try to give you one or two of these rules. There's about 40 of them altogether, and so that you kind of learn them separately, and then over time you can put them together. But anyway, that's one. That's kind of easy to remember once you get the hang of it. Okay? Now,
yes, yeah, thank you.
Let's talk about this. I want to go back to paragraph 5 because I think that is the key to the whole article for me. This line that Belsky says, it's becoming more and more clear that aging is really the cause of the disease and disability we face. So, Mr. Vitor, I'm going to put this question to you. What's your interpretation of that sentence? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think Belsky is really trying to say that is not obvious now? This is a new study with a new finding. What's the new thing that Belsky is trying to express in that sentence? What do you think, Vitor?
The sentence, it's become more and more clear that aging is really this one?
That's the sentence, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the key to the whole article. I think that's the new thing that he's trying to say they've discovered. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but what do you think he's trying to tell us in that sentence, Vitor? Give us your interpretation. What's he trying to say? What's the new thing?
Let me read a little bit. It's become more and more clear that AIDS is really the cause of much of the disease and disability we face.
So, in other words,
yeah.
You finish the sentence.
Okay. But our exact science is based on age in older people who already have a lot of age-related diseases. It's like if you I don't know if I understand very well, but if you have more ages, more age, like more than 38, the possibility to have disease
is greater.
Yeah.
Is greater. For sure. That's not controversial. Everyone knows that. As you get older, you get more disease.
Mm-hmm.
But the new thing is, I think, you tell me if you agree or disagree, and the rest of you as well. I think what Belsky is saying is, the new thing is, instead of looking for a cause for cancer, what we really need to do is see that aging is the disease, and cancer, diabetes, and everything else is just one version of the big disease, which is aging. I think that's what he's trying to say. So if you look for a cause for cancer, you're missing the point. The point is aging. The point isn't how your cells divide. I think he's trying to change the perspective on how we see disease. And also, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, I cut you off.
No, it's and now I understand and I agree, and it's amazing. It's I think it's the new way and the new point of view about the medicine. So
it's certainly a more holistic point of view than before.
Yeah. To look for what the disease of what the age of about the disease, not the guy, not the person, but the how long the disease it's inside her. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think it has to do with misinterpreting the cause of all diseases, basically. It's not to say that you shouldn't study cell division to understand cancer. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you don't look at aging, you're not seeing the big picture, and we try to create a pill for everything. A pill.
Yeah, and maybe we in the future we change our exam when we go to do a checkup, for example.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nowadays, my doctor, do a exercise exam, a blood exam, and a heart exam. And
right.
Maybe in the future, a lot of more exam or different exam.
Oh, just 1 second. In paragraph 8, line 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, the biologically older people were consistently rated as looking older. Consistently. Is that what, Giancarlo, is that the question? Consistently.
Yes. In this one, it doesn't we doesn't apply the rule because
why not? Why not?
Concise?
No. We do apply the rule. Look, in cis, you have an S before and after the vowel, so the vowel does not end the syllable. The syllable ends in an S.
Ah, yes, I got it. Yes,
right?
Yes, John.
If you took off the second S, it would be conci. You put on the S, consis. Does that make sense?
Yes, John. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes, thank you.
All right.
Sorry.
Sorry for what?
Sorry for interrupt you.
So we've got to wrap it up in 3 minutes or so. But what do the rest of you think? Mika, what's your comment there? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, for me for sure. Oh, that's fine. Thank you.
I think aging is harmful to our bodies, because if the researchers could be to stop the process of aging, I think we are not getting some disease.
Do you think it'll be possible to stop the process of aging someday?
No, it's not possible.
I do. I think it can be stopped, Jose.
Yes.
And I think you're the one who's going to stop it. No, I don't know.
I think now it's not possible, but I think in the future could be possible.
Some researchers think that it is possible with our technology today. Some think it's possible, but it's not a guarantee.
Yes, it's not easy, but it's possible.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
The famous researcher for this is I think his name is Aubrey de Grey. I think
it is the key to stop the process of aging.
I'll give you a link to this Wikipedia page. Give me a second. Look at the chat window.
Okay.
I'm not saying this guy is the best researcher. This guy is probably the most famous researcher. The most famous because he's the most radical.
Okay.
This is the guy that believes that we can stop aging, that we can literally stop it. What's the key, Mikkel? You have the key?
After the class, I'll try to read the article.
I have the key. This is the key. You can see my image. I cycling.
Oh,
cycling
yeah.
at the same time that I in front of the computer.
I want to get one of those. Are they
Do
expensive?
exercise.
To stop aging.
Are they expensive? I want to get one of them.
Yes, I will send you in a message the link of this.
Send me these. I tried to stand up for a while, but it was a little hard to type while I was standing.
No.
But I've seen those.
I've
seen those.
I have both.
Like while you're...
I have a treadmill and the keys of the to stop aging.
There's a Verbling teacher. I won't mention the name. It's pretty funny. There's a Verbling teacher who does that, who does what you're doing, a treadmill while he's teaching.
Yeah.
But students were complaining about the heavy breathing. He's trying to teach a lesson. So that's one of the problems. Could be misinterpreted. Anyway, take a look at that. Take a look at that Wikipedia link. This guy is very interesting because he believes he has the answer, and he's been invested. People have invested millions of dollars into his research because his research, it sounds pretty good. What he's suggesting, it sounds pretty good. So check it out. It might be an interesting read. Okay, we're going to stop here. We're going to do the business basics class, which is a follow-up from Monday. We were talking about ecotourism. You are going to have a chance to sell an ecotourism holiday of your own. We're going to read some advertisements, decide what sounds good and bad, work on the language, and then you are going to try to sell us a tourist holiday of your own, one that you create in your head or one that you know about. That's coming up in just a second. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye-bye, John.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye, John.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, thanks.